Hey, good morning, social media. I'm about to leave the Dominican Republic in a little bit. Had a great trip, and I felt led to share a quick Sunday morning message with you. The title of this message is You Need People in Your Life That Keep You Grounded. You need people in your life that are going to keep you grounded, like keep you, that help facilitate a level of humility that will keep you walking in God's grace, right? So I shared with you before that you need people in your life that are so anointed that when you're around them, you feel inadequate, like inadequate in a good way, right? You need people in your life that are so anointed that when you get around them, you're like, oh my God, you walk away from them, you're like, I need to pray more, I need to get in the word more, that kind of thing. Well, this message is kind of like that, but a little bit different. So yesterday, I was visiting with one of my uncles. When I come to the Dominican Republic, I'm probably going to do later a series on lessons I learned from my mother. I'm going to put that on the Patreon. But one of the things that I learned from my mother is that, we have to go visit, we respect our elders and we go visit the elders and just out of respect, you go visit them. Hey, I was here. I don't want you to say that I came to the Dominican Republic and then I was here and then I didn't go see you kind of thing, right? And so one of my uncles I hadn't visited in a long time. And then I saw him at the family reunion and I gave him my word. I said, hey, he was like, you haven't been to my house. I said, fine, I'm going to go while I'm here. And so we're leaving today. And with everything that we did, I told my wife yesterday, I said, no, I have to go see him because one, I want to go see him. And then two, I gave him my word. I have to be a man of my word. And that's a big thing in my family. So I wanted to go see him. So we picked up one of my aunts on the way. So it was me, my mom, one of my aunts, and we went to go see their brother. And we got there. His wife was there, and he was out just getting something for us. And we waited. We just sat on the front porch kind of thing, and we were just sitting there talking. And then when he came back, we talked for a while. We hugged. I got to see a picture of my grandmother that I had not seen. It was a great picture of my grandmother. I took a picture of it, that kind of thing. I posted on social media. And then I got to hang out with my uncle for a little bit, and he wanted to show me his land, and then he wanted to get like plantains and sugar cane for my kids, plantains for his sister, some avocados off the land, all of that. So we went and did all of that. And while I was there, I really enjoyed it. We had a good time, and it was just fellowship. It was just sitting there talking, just talking. And after about an hour and a half, my mom was like, "All right, we can go." It's like, "All right." Well, I got up, hugged everybody. We took off. And so, as I was thinking about it this morning, I learned something from Colin Powell years ago. Colin Powell wrote an autobiography, and I read that early in my military career, and it really helped me. One of the things that he said was his family. He was the late Colin Powell, God rest his soul. He was the son of immigrant parents from Jamaica, and he was born and raised in Bronx, New York. Well, I'm a son of immigrant parents from the Dominican Republic, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And so I saw some similarities. He talked about going back to Jamaica and how grounded he felt just being in the land where his family was from or being around his family members, how that, all the accolades from the army didn't matter while he was there. He was just Colin, all right? And that kept him grounded. And I was like, man, that's a pretty cool story. So whenever I would come back to the Dominican Republic, one of the things I love to do was go to the land where my grandmother's house was, my grandmother's land, and I would just sit there on the old house. It was pretty much abandoned, but I would just go sit at the old house. People in my family didn't understand what I was doing. I would just sit at the old house and just kind of meditate and be like, man, I'm from here. Like, forget all the accolades, whatever titles I have back in the U.S. and all these things and all these accomplishments and acknowledgments. That doesn't matter. When I'm here, I'm just, man. I just feel grounded. It keeps you grounded. Well, that's kind of how I felt yesterday. When I was on that land with my uncle could care less what titles I have or what accomplishments I've been able to attain or any of that. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm just his nephew. That's all he cares about. Like, I'm just his nephew. And that type of environment, I believe it helps keep you grounded. And it's important because as a believer, you got to remain humble before God. One of the lessons I've shared with you guys before is that if you humble yourself before the mighty hand of God, this is Bible, God will exalt you in due season. But if you exalt yourself, then God will humble you. And so you can either humble yourself, so God will exalt you, or you exalt yourself and God will humble you. I've done both. Believe me, letting God exalt you is way better than exalting yourself. So here's some things that I want to share with you on this Sunday morning based on the quick experience I had with my uncle yesterday. No matter how many accolades you get, no matter how many accomplishments you attain in life, Listen, never get the big head. This is what Saul did. So King Saul in the old covenant, this is where he messed up. The King Saul was God didn't want the people to have a king. They wanted a king. God was like, fine, I'll give you a king. And then once he became king, he got the big head. There was a time where he was like, man, God made me a king. So, okay, God, what do you want to do with this? And he would ask the prophets. God, what do you want to do with that? He would ask the prophets. He would ask the prophets and the priests to kind of intercede and tell him, what does God want? What is God's will? Well, he got to the point where they told him this was God's will to do something, and he disobeyed it. He didn't do it. Why? Because he got the big head. And then the prophet had to come and say, listen, when you were little in your own eyes, you would not have done that. And one of the lessons that I learned years ago from Saul is you have to remain little in your own eyes. On this Sunday morning, I just want to tell you to remain little in your own eyes. Stay grounded. Be around people that could care less what accomplishments you have or whatever. They don't care about that. You need people in your life that just care about you, that just love you for being you, and that are going to keep you grounded. You should humble yourself before God's mighty hand, and He will exalt you in due season. Here's another thing that I really appreciate about both Isabella and I. We embrace our story. I run into people all the time that have similar stories, life stories than we do, but they don't want to talk about it. And they say, man, why are you so free that you could just tell your story? Or like, you guys are so free to say where you came from or how you were raised and all of that. Yeah, why not? I mean, it's your story. I mean, it's part of, never be ashamed of who you are. Never be ashamed of where you come from, and never forget where you came from. Don't act like you didn't go through. Listen, your story is your story. People see the glory, but they don't know your story. So you should embrace it. It's part of your story. And so if you embrace your story, if you remain humble, if you surround yourself with people that could care less, you like what you drive or what you have or what you've done or what your title is, they just love you for being you, then you can remain humble under the mighty hand of God. And then watch this, the grace of God will continue to flow to you and then through you so that you can be the man or woman God has called you to be. The quickest way up in God is down, where you humble yourself. But the quickest way down in God is up, when you exalt yourself. Please don't make the mistake of exalting yourself. Be around people that are going to keep you grounded and remain humble before God's mighty hand. Have a blessed Sunday. Talk to you guys later.